Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today's going to be a very exciting video because today we'll be reviewing the new AtGames Legends Ultimate Arcade. Now, for those of you who don't know who AtGames is, AtGames has been around for some time now. It's been around since like 2001, and they've worked with several video game manufacturers like Sega and Atari, and they've released these mini consoles that have games built in, like about 50 games built in, and the emulation is really poor and the sound quality is awful. Now, we bought this arcade cabinet for £799, and you do have to assemble everything, like the screen and the control deck come assembled already, but you do have to assemble everything else.
Now, the instruction manual is pretty straightforward. It gives you a very detailed step-by-step tutorial on how to actually assemble this arcade cabinet.
Now, the design of the arcade cabinet is actually pretty cool.
Like, the front of the arcade cabinet has logos for some of the games that are included on the Legends Arcade.
Now, the side art's pretty interesting actually, because a lot of people do not like the side art, and people say it's like a mishmash of different characters, but it's actually pretty decent.
And also, AtGames have released some other side art covers that you can attach to the side, like the Space Invaders one, which is actually pretty cool.
Now, the marquee is actually really cool because when you turn on the arcade cabinet, it actually lights up, which is a really cool feature.
And the marquee itself has a pretty cool look to it.
Now, the control deck is actually really nice, has a really nice design to it, and the control deck comes with two joysticks, and the joysticks actually feel really nice, and they both come with an 8-way restrictor.
However, I believe you can add a 4-way restrictor if you wanted to exclusively play games like Pac-Man.
And you also get 6 buttons for each player, which is actually really nice, and they feel really good. As well as a player 1 and player 2 button. These will act as your insert coins and also will start your game.
Now, this will allow you to access an in-game menu.
And you also get a rewind button, which will allow you to rewind your games. We'll get back to this later.
Over here, you have 2 spinners for each player,
And you also get a trackball in the middle, and they have a nice even spin to them.
Now, on this metal bar, we have some pretty cool things.
On the right side, you have your volume controls. On the left side, we have a HDMI port, which we'll come back to, and also 2 USB ports and a channel button. Now, AtGames claim this to be a full-size arcade cabinet.
And this arcade cabinet stands at around 67 inches, so even though it's smaller than like an old retro arcade cabinet, it is a little bit taller than an arcade one-up on a riser. Also, you can buy like an extra riser for this arcade cabinet to raise it a few inches off the floor.
The screen itself is a 24-inch widescreen. Now, I know a lot of people are going to hate that because these games play in a 4:3 aspect ratio, but what they do is they allow bezels on the side of the game, and the games are played in a 4:3 aspect ratio.
The speakers are right where they should be on an arcade cabinet, and they're 10-watt stereo speakers.
Okay, let's plug it in. So first things first, we have to plug in the power supply. You also have the option to plug in a Ethernet cable, but this thing has built-in Wi-Fi, so we're just going to use that.
And once powered on, we get the AtGames logo on screen, and then the Legends Ultimate logo.
Now, this arcade cabinet comes built in with 300 games, which is actually a lot of games. However, not all of the games are arcade games. Half of them are arcade games, and the rest of them are Sega Mega Drive games, Super Nintendo games, Atari 2600 games, and a bunch of other console games. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to appreciate this, considering this is an arcade cabinet and you've got console games, but it is kind of cool actually, because then you can play some of these console games with the arcade controls, which will actually be really cool. Now, navigating the menu interface is actually pretty easy. You just basically move with the joystick and you press whatever game you want to play with the A button. Now, you guys might not like this menu interface because there's no music, there isn't a lot going on, and it just looks a bit plain. However, you can add your own background music and even add your own background image, which is actually pretty cool. And if you press the menu button, you can access different games by featured, which is obviously what was featured on the box, and leaderboard, which is basically you can submit your high scores to an online leaderboard, and channels, so obviously different companies like Atari and Data East, and also we have platforms, so you can access different games by the console they were made on, so like arcade, 2600, Genesis and other consoles. And then we also have input, so games that use the joystick, games that use the spinner, and games that use the trackball. Alright guys, let's try some of the games on this arcade cabinet and see how they run. Alright guys, so far from the games we've tried, they've been running perfectly. There's been no input delay, no lag, no bad sound emulation, and it's been running flawlessly. Alright guys, the first game is called Asteroids. Speakers are nice and loud, the game is running flawlessly, and the controls are very responsive. Also, the screen is nice and bright. Hitting the menu button allows you to access an in-game menu where you can insert your coins up to 4. You also have 5 save slots per game. You can also save your high score, and you can quit the game. And you have advanced config, which allows you basically to configure extra features for this game, for games. And you also have button mapping, obviously to map your controls. And you also have display mode to change the aspect ratio. So you can have it to fit, fill, pixel perfect, or center. And you also have an option for a scanline filter, so you can have it either horizontal or vertical. So that's pretty cool. Now we're going to show off a few more games that are built into the arcade. Next up is Burger Time.
Now pressing this button allows you to rewind your games, which is a really cool feature in case maybe you wanted to replay that section in case you missed something or you got hit in the game. However, only certain games are compatible with the rewind button. And for any game that does not work with the rewind function, you will get this message at the beginning of a game saying that save, load and rewind functions are incompatible with this game. Now this is an online arcade cabinet, which means you can connect to the internet, and then you can register an ArcadeNet account. Now, ArcadeNet is a paid service, so you do have to pay a monthly fee, but you do get access to a whole bunch of different games, like King of the Fighters, for example. Now, sometimes it will start up immediately, or sometimes it will take like 3 minutes, so we'll be back when the server actually starts up.
A few moments later.
Now, as you can see, the game finally loaded up. It actually took less than 3 minutes. Now, for the games that you play on ArcadeNet, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. For the most part, they play really good. They play without much lag or anything like that. But there are times when it may lag a bit and stuff like that. But for the most part, the games play pretty well.
But now guys, we're going to move to probably the best feature of this arcade cabinet. BYOG, bring your own games. Now this will allow you to add your own games onto this arcade cabinet, which is an amazing feature. Now this is where the USB ports come in. You can plug in a USB flash drive into one of the USB ports. And as you can see, we've already added a bunch of games from consoles such as the Amiga, Sega Mega Drive, SNES, Vectrex, Sega Master System, and even the Sega CD. And as you can see, from all the games we've played, the games work flawlessly.
However, we can take this feature one step further with an application called CoinOps X. Now this is an amazing application and you'll see why in a minute. And once you launch CoinOps X, you get this animated front end for your Legends Ultimate. Each game comes with a wheel with the logos for the games,
They all come with a video preview, with an arcade cabinet, with a lit up marquee. You also get background for the games. Like, this looks so cool. Look at all this. This looks amazing.
Okay, we're gonna play Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. Always gotta go with my man Ken.
Okay guys, another really cool feature about this arcade cabinet is Arcade PlayLink. Now this allows you to plug up another AtGames console, like one of the flashbacks or one of the Blast HDMI dongles. So you can plug in a HDMI cable into the HDMI port, and then you plug a USB cable into one of the USB ports. And then press the channel button, and boom, you are booted straight into the flashbacks menu. And instead of using this controller, you can instead use the arcade control deck, which is actually pretty cool.
So guys, our final thoughts on this arcade machine is it's an amazing product. Like, honestly, I know a lot of people may not actually get this because it has AtGames on it. And I'll admit, whilst their previous products were some of the worst products ever made, this is definitely their best product to date. It has an amazing control deck, it has an amazing screen, it has really good speakers, it's got 300 games built in, you can add your own games with CoinOps X. It even has a lot of extra features, like you can use like an aim track light gun with this thing, or you have other features like you can take off the control deck entirely and replace it with something like the Legends Gamer Pro or Quad Play controller, which again, really cool feature. So I do highly recommend this product. This is a great addition to anyone's arcade collection. Anyways guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you guys in the next video.